The morning mist hangs low over the James River, curling around wooden docks where steamships breathe out slow plumes of smoke into the pale Virginia sky. It is the year 1900. A horse-drawn carriage rattles across cobblestone streets in Richmond, iron wheels striking sparks against stone. Church bells echo through small towns nestled between rolling tobacco fields and thick Appalachian forests. In the Tidewater region, fishermen haul in nets heavy with oysters, while in the Shenandoah Valley, farmers rise before dawn to tend corn, wheat, and livestock. Life in Virginia at the turn of the 20th century feels rooted in soil and season, its rhythm set by sunlight and rail schedules, by church gatherings and courthouse meetings. The air smells of coal smoke, river water, and freshly cut hay. Life moves deliberately, shaped by tradition and bound tightly to the land. Now imagine standing in that same riverfront city more than a century later. It is 2026. The skyline of Richmond glows with glass towers reflecting the sunrise. Cars hum across multi-lane highways, and electric buses glide past revitalized warehouse districts converted into lofts, cafes, and tech offices. A drone camera rises above the James, capturing kayakers cutting through the water while joggers trace the riverwalk below. In Northern Virginia, just outside Washington, D.C., data centers stretch across the landscape, powering the digital heartbeat of the modern world. The pace is faster now, the connection's global, yet the river still flows, steady and unchanged, linking past and present like a living thread through Virginia's story. In 1900, most Virginians lived in rural communities. The state's population hovered just under 2 million, and agriculture remained the backbone of daily life. Tobacco fields defined much of the economy, especially in the southern counties, though corn, peanuts, and apples thrived in different regions. Families worked the land together. Children learned early how to milk cows, chop wood, and plant seeds in meat rows. Work was physical and constant, shaped by weather and harvest cycles. Electricity was rare outside city centers. Nights were lit by oil lamps or candles, and entertainment often meant storytelling on the porch or hymn singing in small wooden churches. By 2026, Virginia's population has grown to well over 8 million. The rural landscape still exists, but it shares space with suburban neighborhoods, research campuses, and some of the most technologically advanced facilities in the world. Agriculture remains important. Virginia peanuts and Shenandoah apples still reach markets nationwide, but it no longer defines the majority of livelihoods. Instead, government contracting, defense, technology, education, and healthcare drive the economy. In counties like Loudoun and Fairfax, servers housed in vast data centers process a significant portion of the world's internet traffic. The workday has shifted from fields to offices, laboratories, and home workstations. The tools are no longer plows and hand tools, but laptops, fiber optic cables, and cloud-based platforms. Transportation reveals one of the clearest contrasts between these two Virginias. In 1900, railroads stitched the state together. Steam locomotives carried coal from Appalachian mines and passengers between cities like Norfolk, Richmond, and Roanoke. Horse-drawn wagons still dominated local travel. Roads were often unpaved, turning to mud in heavy rain. A journey across the state could take days. Travel required patience and planning, and for many families, long-distance trips were rare events. In 2026, Virginia's highways pulse with constant movement. Interstate 95 runs like a spine along the Eastern Corridor, carrying commuters and cargo up and down the East Coast. Washington Dulles International Airport connects the state to cities across the globe. High-speed internet allows virtual travel of another kind, shrinking distances in ways unimaginable in 1900. A business meeting can happen across continents in seconds. A student in rural Appalachia can attend an online lecture hosted in another state. Movement is no longer limited by rails or dirt roads. It is powered by jet engines and digital signals. Housing in 1900 Virginia reflected both geography and social structure. In rural areas, farmhouses were often simple wooden structures, built by hand and heated by fireplaces or cast-iron stoves. Water came from wells. Outhouses stood a short walk from the main house.
In cities, brick row houses lined narrow streets, and wealthier families occupied larger homes adorned with Victorian details, turrets, wraparound porches, ornate trim. Yet comfort depended heavily on class and race. The legacy of the Civil War and Reconstruction still shaped daily life. Segregation laws were tightening their grip across the South, limiting opportunity and enforcing separation in public spaces. By 2026, Virginia's neighborhoods tell a more complex story. Subdivisions with manicure lawns stretch across suburban counties. High-rise condominiums overlook urban centers. Restored historic homes stand beside modern townhouses. Running water, central heating, and air conditioning are standard features. Smart thermostats adjust temperatures automatically. Solar panels dot rooftops. Yet housing affordability has become a pressing challenge, particularly in rapidly growing regions near the national capital. The gap between urban and rural prosperity remains visible, though it is defined less by access to electricity and more by access to broadband, healthcare, and economic opportunity. Work in 1900 Virginia was defined by manual labor. In the coal fields of southwest Virginia, miners descended into dark shafts carved into the mountains, extracting fuel that powered the nation's industrial growth. In shipyards along the coast, workers built and repaired vessels critical to commerce and defense. Domestic service employed many women, particularly black women, whose economic options were limited by discriminatory laws and social barriers. Education beyond elementary school was not guaranteed, and college was reserved for a small fraction of the population. In 2026, Virginia's workforce spans an entirely different spectrum. Engineers design cybersecurity systems. Scientists conduct medical research at institutions like the University of Virginia and Virginia Tech. Military personnel train at some of the largest naval bases in the world, including Naval Station Norfolk. Remote workers log in from home offices overlooking Blue Ridge vistas. Education levels have risen dramatically, with universities attracting students from across the globe. Yet echoes of the past remain in regions where manufacturing jobs have declined, and communities continue to adapt to shifting economic tides. Technology is perhaps the most dramatic line dividing 1900 and 2026. At the dawn of the 20th century, the telephone was still a novelty in many areas. News traveled by telegraph, newspaper, or word of mouth. Medical knowledge was advancing, but limited. Infectious diseases posed significant threats. Life expectancy was shorter, and child mortality rates were higher. Scientific discovery was accelerating, yet its benefits were unevenly distributed. Fast forward to 2026, and Virginia stands at the crossroads of the digital age. Fiber optic networks carry information at near light speed. Hospitals employ robotic surgery and advanced imaging technologies. Vaccines and antibiotics have transformed public health. Smartphones place vast libraries of knowledge in the palm of a hand. At the same time, new challenges emerge: cybersecurity threats, data privacy concerns, and the mental toll of constant connectivity. Technology has solved many problems, while introducing new complexities, reshaping how Virginians communicate, learn, and understand the world.
Social structure in 1900 Virginia was rigid and deeply influenced by race, gender, and class. The era of Jimmy Crow laws formalized segregation, restricting Black Virginians' access to education, voting rights, and economic opportunity. Women had limited political power and would not gain the right to vote nationally until 1920. Social mobility was constrained by both law and custom. Communities were close-knit, but opportunities were not equally shared. In 2026, Virginia reflects a far more diverse and interconnected society. The state has elected leaders from varied backgrounds, and its population includes immigrants from Asia, Latin America, Africa, and beyond. Women lead corporations, universities, and government offices. Civil rights legislation has dismantled legal segregation, though conversations about equity and inclusion continue. Northern Virginia ranks among the most diverse regions in the country, shaped by proximity to the federal government and international institutions. The social fabric has become more intricate, woven from global threads that would have seemed imaginable in 1900. The environment tells its own story of continuity and change.
In 1900, vast forests covered much of western Virginia, though logging operations were expanding. Rivers ran largely unregulated, serving as highways for commerce and sources of drinking water. Industrial pollution was growing, but not yet widely addressed. The Chesapeake Bay supported thriving fisheries that sustained coastal communities. By 2026, environmental awareness has become central to public policy. Conservation efforts protect sections of the Appalachian Trail and Shenandoah National Park, established in the 20th century to preserve natural beauty. The Chesapeake Bay has been the focus of decades-long restoration projects aimed at reducing pollution and reviving marine life. Renewable energy initiatives, including offshore wind projects along the Atlantic coast, signal a shift towards sustainable power. Yet, climate change brings rising sea levels that threaten low-lying areas like Norfolk and Virginia Beach. The relationship between Virginians and their environment has evolved from one of extraction to one increasingly focused on stewardship. Education bridges these two eras in profound ways. In 1900, many rural schools operated in single-room buildings where one teacher instructed students of all ages. Textbooks were scarce. Attendance often depended on farm schedules. Higher education institutions existed, but access was limited and often segregated. In 2026, Virginia's public school system served millions of students with digital classrooms, advanced placement courses, and extracurricular programs that span robotics to performing arts. Universities conduct cutting-edge research in engineering, medicine, and environmental science. Online learning platforms extend access beyond physical campuses. Education has become not just a pathway to local employment, but a gateway to global opportunity. Culturally, Virginia in 1900 was steeped in regional traditions, bluegrass melodies drifting through mountain hollows, seafood festivals along the coast, and Civil War memories shaping public monuments and identity. Newspapers and church bulletins were primary sources of information. Community gatherings revolved around seasonal fairs, markets, and religious observances. In 2026, culture flows through streaming platforms, international cuisine, and multicultural festivals. Richmond's art scene thrives in renovated industrial districts. Music ranges from country roots to hip-hop and indie rock. Historical monuments are re-examined, relocated, or recontextualized as communities grapple with how to represent the past. The conversation about history has grown more nuanced, reflecting a broader national dialogue about memory and meaning. Virginia's global significance has also transformed. In 1900, the state's importance lay largely in agriculture, shipping, and its symbolic role in American history as the birthplace of presidents and the site of pivotal Civil War battles. Its influence was substantial, but primarily national. By 2026, Virginia plays a critical role on the world stage. Its military installations support international security operations. Its technology infrastructure powers global communication networks. Diplomats and policymakers living in Northern Virginia shape foreign policy decisions that ripple across continents. The state's economy is intertwined with global markets in ways unimaginable at the dawn of the 20th century. And yet, amid all this change, certain constants endure. The Blue Ridge Mountains still rise in layered shades of blue at sunset. Autumn still sets the Shenandoah Valley ablaze with color. Colonial streets in Williamsburg still echo with footsteps, though now they are joined by tourists from around the world. The James and Potomac rivers continue their steady flow, indifferent to the centuries passing along their banks. When we place Virginia in 1900 beside Virginia in 2026, we see more than a list of contrasts. We see a living narrative of adaptation and resilience. We see a state shaped by hardship and innovation, by injustice confronted and opportunity expanded. The tools have changed, the skyline has shifted, and the population has grown more diverse. But the core human impulses, to build, to connect, to seek a better future, remain constant. Standing once more at the edge of the James River, we can almost hear the layered echoes of time. The whistle of a distant steam engine blends with the hum of highway traffic. The lantern light of a farmhouse flickers beside the glow of a smartphone screen. Virginia's journey from 1900 to 2026 mirrors the broader American story, a passage from agrarian roots to digital horizons, from isolation to global interconnection. Time moves forward, carrying each generation into landscapes both familiar and new. In Virginia, the past is never far away. It lives in preserved battlefields, in courthouse squares, in family farms that have endured for centuries. But it also lives in lessons learned and barriers broken. As the state steps further into the 21st century, it carries with it the memory of who it was and the promise of who it can become. In the end, Virginia's transformation is not just about technology or population growth. It is about the enduring capacity of people to reshape their world while remaining anchored to place. From steam engines to server farms, from tobacco fields to research labs, the story of Virginia is a testament to human progress guided by persistence and imagination. The river keeps flowing, the mountains keep standing, and the people keep building, each generation adding its own chapter to a story more than 400 years in the making.